I mean, it's been a disappointing, frustrating start, I guess you'd say, in terms of injuries at the start of the year. First of all, how pleased were you with your return to action in Istanbul? Obviously disappointing to lose the final, but how pleased were you with your general performances?
Yeah, it was a very successful week in a lot of ways. Obviously, I would have loved to have won that tournament, considering they're playing in the final. But if you look at the big picture of things, it's the first tournament this year that I've managed to complete healthy. It's also on a surface that doesn't tend to be the one that comes to me the easiest, and that after a layoff with sort of brief training periods, I was able to play some good tennis, find a way to win a few matches. So it gives me a lot of mental confidence and comfort going forward.
How difficult is it to get back into a sort of match-winning rhythm when you've had sort of, I guess, what you call a stop-start sort of start to the year?
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time, and it takes a little bit of patience. You don't know how quickly it's going to come along for you, but I've dealt with injuries many times over the last year, so I've gotten accustomed to that, coming into tournaments without too much match play and trying to get the best tennis out of myself and just trying to scrap my way through the first few rounds.
Got to the quarterfinals the last couple of times here in Madrid. Is this a tournament that suits your game? Very unique sort of playing conditions, isn't it, up here?
Yeah, it's probably the most conducive to my tennis on clay courts as far as it goes. It's a little bit quicker up here, obviously. Court's a little bit drier as well, so it helps in terms with the altitude that the ball goes through the court a little bit quicker. If it does rain here, it tends to become almost an indoor tournament at that point, which is conditions I like. So it's been very helpful to my game this tournament, and hopefully I can continue having some good success here as well.
It's been an interesting start to the year with the sort of resurgence of Roger and Rafa, Andy and Novak struggling to find their best form. How do you see the rest of this season panning out?
Well, I think it's going to be interesting. It can either continue the way it is, or somebody else is going to have to step up. And I think there's a little bit of an opening, obviously, with now it's difficult playing Rafa as confident as he is on clay, but you have these other two guys that are trying to get into their own game, into their own rhythm. You have other guys that are really trying to step up, seeing maybe a little bit of an opening, and it's also hard to really know how things are going to play out with Roger taking time off away from matches as much as he is right now. So there's a big question mark. Some people are going to step up, some people aren't. So it's going to be very interesting to follow and see the rest of the season. And
Novak's made a big decision this week, parting company with his coaching team. What did you make of that decision? And in general terms, how important is it to have the sort of right people around you in your team?
Well, you can't tell if something like that's going to come around, but you totally understand where his decision comes from. Obviously, Novak is the guy that's tried to exploit his game, his abilities to get the most out of himself, and probably wasn't feeling like he was able to do that this moment, and wanted some fresh faces, some fresh voices around him, or just a bit of a change, and you can't blame him for that. And the team he worked with has done fantastic things for him. For myself, I've always found that it's really important to have people around you that you trust, people that are as motivated as you are, and people that you feel can really help you day in and day out be better, be a better person, be a better tennis player, and that will hold you accountable as well when your behavior or your habits tend to rear off the right path.